Dad, we need your house. Not congratulations, not a question, just that dropped in the middle of Sunday dinner like it had already been decided. I set my fork down slowly and looked at my son Trevor. Only then did he add, almost as an afterthought, Stephanie's pregnant. The order of it told me everything I needed to know before I could even respond. I'm Frank Morrison, 62 years old, and I've been dealing with problems my whole life. Spent 20 years in the Navy, another 25 as a civil engineer. You learn to read situations, analyze what's really happening beneath the surface. And what I was seeing here didn't add up. I smiled because that's what you do first. My fingers tightened slightly around my coffee mug, but my voice stayed even. Congratulations, I said. Stephanie reached for Trevor's arm, her expression careful, watching me more than celebrating. There was no rush of excitement, no details spilling over, no nervous laughter about timing or names, just waiting. Then Trevor leaned forward. Our place isn't big enough, he said. We've been thinking about it, and we need something bigger. The way he said we've been thinking made it clear this conversation had already happened. Just not with me. I let the silence stretch for a second longer than they expected. And you think that's my problem? I asked. The room went quiet immediately. Trevor looked down at his plate. Stephanie inhaled, then straightened slightly like she was stepping into a role she'd rehearsed for. We're just trying to plan ahead, she said. For the baby, for stability. I didn't lean back, stayed exactly where I was. One hand resting on the table, watching them both the way I used to watch junior officers trying to explain something they thought I wouldn't question. What exactly are you asking? I said. Another pause, not confusion, not hesitation, calculation. Trevor cleared his throat but didn't answer right away. Stephanie glanced at him, then back at me, like she was measuring how direct she could afford to be. That's when I understood this wasn't an announcement at all. It was a negotiation they believed had already been won. They didn't answer my question right away. Instead, they adjusted their approach. Stephanie leaned forward slightly, folding her hands like we were about to discuss something reasonable. It's just that your house has space, she said. More than you really use now. Trevor kept his eyes on the table, not correcting her, not softening it, just letting her speak for both of them. I watched that more than anything else, not what she said, but what he didn't say. This place is quiet, she continued. Stable. It would make things easier for us, especially with a baby coming. Easier, I repeated the word silently, letting it settle. So this is about convenience, I said. Trevor shifted in his seat. Stephanie's expression tightened just slightly, then smoothed again. It's about family, she replied, helping each other when it matters. I nodded once. Yes, helping. Not replacing responsibility. That's when Trevor finally looked up. Dad, we're not trying to take anything from you. We just thought maybe there's a way to make this work for everyone. For everyone. The phrasing was careful. Too careful. I could hear the space where the real sentence should have been. I didn't raise my voice. That is your child, I said. Your responsibility. The words landed clean between us. Trevor opened his mouth, then closed it again. Stephanie leaned back slightly, reassessing. You always said you'd help if we needed it, Trevor said. Quieter now. I met his eyes. I will help you build something, but I won't hand it to you. Another pause followed, heavier this time. Not confusion, resistance they weren't asking directly. They were trying to move the conversation somewhere I hadn't agreed to go. And the more I listened, the clearer it became that what they wanted wasn't advice, and it wasn't support. It was permission. I stayed where I was, my hands still on the table, keeping my voice steady. If you're not ready to stand on your own, why have a child? Trevor flinched slightly. Stephanie didn't react the same way. She didn't look hurt or surprised. She just watched me. Her expression composed like she was recalculating rather than responding. That difference didn't escape me. Trevor rubbed his hands together. It's not like that. We just want to be prepared. Prepared? I repeated quietly, by shifting the weight somewhere else. No, he said quickly. That's not what I mean, but he didn't finish the thought. I didn't force you to have a baby, I said. That was your choice, so now you find your way. The words settled between us, not sharp, not loud, just firm enough that they didn't leave room for interpretation. Trevor leaned back in his chair, exhaling slowly. You're making this sound like we did something wrong. I met his gaze. No, I'm saying you made a decision, and decisions come with responsibility. Stephanie tilted her head slightly, studying me. There was no sign of excitement in her. No softness that usually follows news like this. No mention of appointments, no nervous energy, no small details that people can't help but share when something real is happening. Just strategy. Just pressure wrapped in careful language. That's when the thought settled more clearly than before. This didn't feel like joy, it felt like leverage. After they left that night, I sat alone at my kitchen table, the same one where my wife Susan and I had made our plans for 35 years before cancer took her. I replayed everything, the timing of the announcement, the way Stephanie had watched me instead of sharing anything, the way Trevor had followed her lead instead of speaking first. The order of the words, "We need your house, then Stephanie's pregnant." It hadn't been excitement, it had been positioning. 3 days later, I called my neighbor Jim, who's retired from the phone company, asked him about home security systems, told him I was thinking about upgrading. Nothing suspicious about a 62-year-old widower wanting better security. Within a week, I had cameras covering my driveway, front door, and backyard. Small ones, the kind you can't see unless you know where to look. Then I started making calls, not to Trevor, to people who might know things. My buddy Rick works at the credit union where Trevor has his accounts. We served together on the USS Nimitz back in the day. I didn't ask him to violate any privacy rules. I just mentioned that Trevor had been asking me for financial help, and I wanted to understand the situation before making any decisions. Rick's face told me everything before he said a word. "Brad," he said, "I can't give you specifics, but if your son is asking for money, there's probably a good reason." How good a reason? The kind that keeps people awake at night. That's when I knew I was onto something real. The following week, I started watching their social media. Stephanie posts everything online: restaurants, shopping trips, new furniture, weekend getaways. I began screenshotting things, making notes of dates and locations. For two people supposedly saving money for a baby, they sure were spending a lot on things that didn't look like baby preparation. Brand new sectional sofa, $3,200. Post is 3 weeks ago, weekend trip to Napa Valley, multiple posts from expensive restaurants and wine tastings. Posted 6 weeks ago. Stephanie's new handbag collection, easily $2,000 worth of designer bags. Posted throughout the last 2 months. Either they had money coming from somewhere I didn't know about, or they were spending money they didn't have. 2 weeks after our confrontation, I decided to test a theory. I invited them over again, this time for Sunday lunch. I was ready. I'd set up a small digital recorder in the dining room, the kind they sell for business meetings. Nothing illegal. It's my house, my conversation. But good to have a record of what gets said. They came in looking relaxed, like they'd figured the hard part was over. "How's Stephanie feeling?" I asked as we sat down. "Morning sickness starting yet?" Trevor looked at Stephanie. She looked at Trevor for just a second. Neither of them knew who should answer first. "Oh, you know," Stephanie finally said. "Just tired mostly." "When's the due date?" I asked. Another pause. "We're still early," Trevor said quickly. "Haven't really calculated all that yet?" I nodded like that made sense. "Well, when was the last period? That's how they calculate it, right?" Stephanie's face went blank for half a second, then she recovered. "I don't really track that stuff," she said. "Now, I'm not an expert on women's health, but I was married for 35 years. Susan and I tried for kids when we were young. Didn't work out for us, but I learned a lot about how pregnancy works during those years. Any woman who's actually pregnant knows exactly when her last period was. It's literally the first question every doctor asks. That's when I knew for certain what I was dealing with, but I needed more than suspicion. I needed proof. "You know what?" I said, "this calls for a celebration. Let me break out the good wine." I went to the kitchen and came back with a bottle of Cabernet I'd been saving. Poured 3 glasses, handed them around. "To new beginnings," I said, raising my glass. Trevor took a sip immediately. I watched Stephanie over the rim of my glass. She brought the wine to her lips, hesitated for just a moment, then took a small sip. Now maybe she was being cautious about alcohol during pregnancy. Or maybe she forgot she was supposed to be pregnant. Either way, I had what I needed to start asking harder questions. "Trevor," I said, "I've been thinking about what you said last week, about needing help with a house situation." His face lit up like Christmas morning. "Yeah. Before I make any decisions, I'd like to understand your current financial picture. You know, income, expenses, debt situation, just so I can figure out the best way to help." The light in his face dimmed a little. "What do you mean?" "Well, if you're going to be responsible for a mortgage and a baby, I need to know you can handle it. What's your monthly take-home after taxes?" Trevor looked at Stephanie again. She gave him a small nod. "About $4,200, he said. "And monthly expenses?" Longer pause this time. "We haven't really calculated everything exactly. Rough estimate. Maybe $4,500. I set my wine glass down carefully. "So you're spending more than you make." "It's not that simple," Stephanie jumped in. "There are irregular expenses, seasonal things." "Like what?" She started listing things. Car maintenance, holiday gifts, clothing, entertainment, eating out. The kind of stuff that sounds reasonable when you say it fast, but adds up to real money when you write it down. I listened to the whole list, then asked the question I really wanted answered. "What about debt? Credit cards, loans, anything like that?" The silence stretched long enough to become uncomfortable. Some, Trevor finally admitted. How much is some? It's manageable, Trevor. I used the voice I used to use with junior officers who were trying to hide something. How much? He looked down at his hands, maybe $12,000. On how many cards? 3. I nodded like I was processing the information. What about the house? Mortgage payment current. Another long pause. Mostly. What does mostly mean? We might be a little behind. How little? 2 months. 2 months behind on the mortgage. $12,000 in credit card debt. Spending $300 more per month than they earn. And they want to take on the responsibility of a baby and a bigger house. I kept my face neutral, but inside, everything was clicking into place. I see, I said. And the baby is due when exactly? Stephanie opened her mouth, then closed it. Trevor looked at her, then at me. We're still really early, he said again. Early like first trimester, second month? Give me something to work with here. They looked at each other like they were having a silent conversation about what story to tell. That's when I knew I had them. You know what? I said, standing up. I think I need to see some documentation before we go any further with this. Documentation? Stephanie asked. Doctor's confirmation of the pregnancy. Bank statements showing your actual financial situation. Recent pay stubs, the kind of paperwork any responsible lender would want to see. The color drained from Trevor's face. Dad, we're family. You don't need to treat this like a business transaction. Trevor, this is my house. The house your mother and I worked 35 years to pay off. If you're asking me to make decisions about it, then yes, I absolutely need to treat this like a business transaction. I walked to the kitchen and came back with a notepad. Here's what I want. Proof of pregnancy from a doctor. Your last 3 pay stubs. Bank statements for the last 6 months. Credit card statements showing current balances. And a written plan for how you're going to manage your existing debt while taking on new responsibilities. Stephanie stood up. This is ridiculous. We're trying to plan for your grandchild. Then you should have no problem providing documentation that shows you can actually take care of that grandchild. Trevor stood up too. We should go. Yes, I said, you should. Come back when you have the paperwork. After they left, I sat in my living room and thought about what I'd learned. Not just the financial stuff, though that was bad enough, but the way they'd approached this whole thing. The coordination between them, the careful timing, the way they'd tried to use emotion to bypass logic. This wasn't desperation. This was strategy. Over the next 3 weeks, I did more research. Real research, the kind I used to do when I was trying to solve engineering problems. I contacted a private investigator, guy named Paul, who does background checks for local businesses, asked him to run a financial background check on Trevor. Told him I was considering a family loan and wanted to understand the full picture. What Paul found confirmed my worst suspicions. Trevor's actual salary was $8,000 less per year than he'd told me. They'd been late on rent 5 of the last 7 months. There were 2 judgments against them, one from a credit card company for $8,100, another from a furniture store for $3,500. The picture was getting clearer, and it wasn't pretty, but I still needed to know about the pregnancy. So I did something that probably sounds extreme, but felt necessary at the time. I followed them not in a creepy way, just observing their routine for a few days. Trevor left for work every morning at 7:30. Stephanie usually left around 9:00, came back around lunchtime. On Thursday, I followed her when she left. She drove straight to a coffee shop, ordered a large coffee with extra shots, then went to a nail salon. On Friday, I followed her again. This time she went to a gym, did a full workout, including ab exercises and some kind of kickboxing class. Now, I'm no expert on pregnancy, but I'm pretty sure women who are actually pregnant don't do kickboxing and drink large amounts of caffeine. 4 weeks after our confrontation, I was ready to end this. I called Trevor and asked him to come over alone. Told him we needed to have a man-to-man conversation about the situation. He showed up the next afternoon, looking nervous but hopeful. We sat in my living room, the same room where I used to help him with homework when he was in high school. Trevor, I said, I want to ask you something and I want a straight answer. He nodded. Is Stephanie actually pregnant? The silence that followed told me everything I needed to know before he opened his mouth. He didn't say no immediately. He didn't act surprised by the question. He just sat there, looking like a man trying to figure out how much trouble he was in. Finally, he exhaled and shook his head. No, how long have you been planning this? It wasn't supposed to be like this, he said quickly. We just thought if you believed we needed help, you might. You might? What? Let us move in. Just temporarily. Until we got back on our feet. I leaned back in my chair, processing the full scope of what they tried to do. So you lied about having a grandchild to manipulate me into giving you my house. He winced. We weren't going to keep lying. We were going to tell you the truth eventually after you'd moved in and changed the locks. It's not like that. What is it like, Trevor? He rubbed his face with both hands. We're drowning, Dad. The credit cards are maxed out. We're behind on everything. Stephanie lost her job 3 months ago, and I'm barely making enough to cover the basics. So you decided to make it my problem. We just needed a break, a chance to reset without losing everything. I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the yard Susan and I had planted together over the years. Trevor, do you know what this house represents? Dad, this house represents 35 years of getting up every morning and going to work, even when I didn't want to. Even when your mother was sick and I wanted to stay home with her. Even when money was tight and we had to choose between fixing the roof and taking a vacation. I turned back to face him. This house is what we built by doing the right thing, even when it was hard. I know that, do you? Because what you just tried to do tells me you don't understand that at all. Trevor looked down at his hands. What are we supposed to do now? Now you do what every adult has to do. You figure it out. How? The same way I did at your age. The same way every responsible person does. You cut your expenses. You increase your income. You pay your debts. You live within your means. It's not that simple anymore. It's exactly that simple. It's just not easy. I sat back down across from him. Trevor, I love you. You're my son, and nothing will ever change that. But I'm not going to enable you to avoid the consequences of your choices. So you won't help us at all. I'll help you learn to help yourself. I'll co-sign for a smaller apartment if you need it. I'll help you create a budget and stick to it. I'll even lend you some money for absolute necessities with clear terms for paying it back. But I won't hand you a solution that teaches you nothing about solving your own problems. Trevor sat there for a long time, not saying anything. Finally, he looked up at me. What about Stephanie? What about her? She's not going to be happy about this. I shrugged. That's between you and her. But Trevor, if your wife's happiness depends on lying to your family and manipulating your way into other people's houses, you might want to think about what that says about your marriage. He left that day without saying much else, just a quiet "I'll call you later" and a hug that felt different than usual. Heavier somehow, he didn't call later. Not that day, not that week, but Stephanie did. 2 weeks later, she called Tuesday morning around 10. Her voice was different on the phone, sharper, less careful. Bradley, we need to talk about what, Stephanie? About what you're doing to your son. What am I doing to my son? You're abandoning him when he needs you most. I almost laughed. Is that what he told you? He told me you refused to help us? I offered to help him in every way that would actually help him. What I refused to do was enable him. That's not your decision to make. It's exactly my decision to make. It's my house. There was a pause, then her voice got colder. You know, Trevor always said you were selfish. I guess he was right. Stephanie, let me ask you something. In all the time you've been married to my son, how many times have you encouraged him to live within his means? How many times have you suggested cutting expenses instead of increasing debt? Silence. How many times have you told him he should work harder or find better employment instead of looking for handouts? More silence. That's what I thought. You don't understand what it's like for our generation. I understand exactly what it's like. I understand that every generation faces challenges and every generation has to figure out how to handle them. What I don't understand is expecting other people to solve problems you created for yourself. She hung up on me. 6 weeks later, Trevor called. His voice sounded different, tired, but also somehow clearer. Dad, can we talk? Of course, Stephanie left. I didn't say anything right away, just waited. She moved back in with her mother, said, this wasn't what she signed up for. I'm sorry to hear that, are you? I thought about it for a moment. I'm sorry you're hurting. I'm not sorry that someone who was willing to lie to your family to get what she wanted is no longer in your life. He was quiet for a while. Then I found an apartment. Small place, but I can afford the rent. Been looking at my budget like you said. You're right. We were spending way more than I was making. How much more? About $800 a month for almost 2 years. That explains the debt. Yeah, Dad, I need to ask you something. What's that? Were you ever really going to help us? I mean, if we'd been honest from the beginning, I thought about that question for a long time before answering. Trevor, if you had come to me and said, Dad, Stephanie and I are in financial trouble. We've made some poor decisions and we need help getting back on track. Can you give us advice and maybe help us find a solution that teaches us to do better? Then yes, I would have moved heaven and earth to help you. But not the way we did it. Not the way you did it. Because that wasn't asking for help. That was trying to transfer your problems to someone else without taking responsibility for how you got there. Another long pause then. I think I'm starting to understand that. Good. That's the first step. What's the second step? The second step is making a plan and sticking to it, even when it's hard, even when it takes longer than you want, even when other people are doing things you can't afford to do. We talked for another hour that day. Really talked for the first time in years, not father lecturing son, but two men discussing a problem that needed solving. 8 months later, Trevor called with an update. The second job was exhausting, but he'd paid off one credit card completely. Still got a long way to go, he said, but I can see the light now. Last week he called again. His car needed $800 in repairs, and for a moment I heard that old panic in his voice. I almost called a payday loan place, he admitted. But then I remembered what you said about solving problems instead of shifting them. He worked extra shifts, sold some furniture, and covered the repair without borrowing. It sucked, he said, but I did it. That's the kind of progress that matters. He comes over for dinner sometimes now. Just him, Stephanie, and he are getting divorced, and it's been finalized. We sit on the back deck afterward, drinking beer and watching the sunset. Dad, he said, last month, I need to tell you something. What's that? When all this was happening, when we were asking for the house, I knew it was wrong. I knew we were lying to you. But I was so scared of losing everything that I convinced myself it was okay because we were family. I nodded but didn't say anything. I want you to know that I understand now why you said no, and I want you to know that I respect you for it. Thank you. And I want you to know that if I ever have kids someday, I'm going to teach them what you tried to teach me. What's that? That nobody owes you anything just because you want it. That if you want something, you have to earn it. And that family helps each other get stronger, not weaker. We sat there in comfortable silence for a while, watching the last light fade from the sky. Trevor's doing better now, really better. He's saving money for the first time in his adult life. He's talking about going back to school part-time to get training in HVAC repair. And me? I'm exactly where I was a year ago, sitting in the house Susan and I built together, protecting what we created, making sure it goes to the right place when my time comes. But now I know for certain that when that time comes, it will go to someone who understands what it represents. Someone who knows the difference between earning something and being given something. Someone who learned the hard way, if necessary, that the best gift you can give someone you love is the confidence that they can take care of themselves. That's worth more than any house. Real love isn't giving someone what they want. It's giving them what they need to become who they're supposed to be. The hardest lesson a parent can teach is that struggle builds character, and the greatest gift we can give our children is the strength to stand on their own.